first time.
Hello there, Clarice. Fly, fly, fly. I have finally seen Silence with the Lambs. This film is one of those very much hyped ones entirely, and I was worried that it was going to be one of those overhyped ones that everybody that gives it so much praise for all these years was just overhyping the film, and its actual quality is disappointing. But no, this was a freaking great little film, and I'm glad that I finally watched it. For the longest time, I avoided it because I thought the title sounded kind of stupid, and I did not know that this was the one with Hannibal Lecter. For some reason, that didn't cross my hairs until until I joined the YouTube sphere of things. Well, then a couple years ago, I learned that it is that film that has Hannibal Lecter in it and Jodie Foster and all that. So whatever, but I still didn't watch it because I just, you guys know me in movies. It takes me a while to actually get around to watching the films that I should watch. But I am glad that I finally watched Silence of the Lambs. Some of these horror films are a lot better than I was expecting, and I am very glad for that because my expectations are being subverted in a good way. And dude, just the close-ups that they do in this film with Hannibal Lecter, just showing his intensity and his Anthony Hopkins, man, just freaking legend right there. The fact that it's like a whole other serial killer is what they're trying to get to, but they're focusing on this guy that's supposed to help them in some way, shape, or form with this, and just done so well, so beautifully. Mwah. I love it. You got Jodie Foster's character. Clarice. She's a noob in the FBI. She's trying to make her way up there, and she's still learning. Which I'm glad they make that very. It's clear enough that she's not like a professional FBI person. She is a new one on the block, trying to make her way throughout it, and that shows later. When she's on like her first field mission, I would say, and when she's trying to get Buffalo Bill, and she's like there. I thought at first I was like thinking she's like shaking, she's panting, she's like freaking out a little bit. It's like, no, this was her first on the field real mission. They showed her do some training once before, and she made some mistakes here and there. And this time she is alone. She does not have any of her crew with her because they all went to a completely different location, believing that that's where Buffalo Bill was going to be. But that was a whole red herring by Hannibal Lecter so that he can manipulate his way into getting out of prison, or like being in a way where he has enough like things at his disposal to manage an escape. And that alone was pretty cool, the way that he was attempting to do his escape. I will say though, real quick, with his escape, I really want to look this up now because I see this so often in so many different films and TV shows. They have like a paper clip or a hair clip of some kind. They have little tiny things that they usually use to pick locks on a door or on handcuffs or to escape whatever type of contraptions they're in. It's always a paper clip and a hair clip. And I would imagine that locksmiths would have come up with a way to have that be a little more difficult for them to do, which is what I thought the point of the key was. But apparently you can just, jiggity jew that stuff into a lock and then you pick it. I'm not blaming Silence of the Lambs for this. Again, this is a trope. This is a huge trope that happens so often. It's almost as if it's well known that you can just do this. At some point in history, somebody must have really done this. Otherwise, I don't understand how this would have been such a huge trope. But then again, there are tropes in films that happen that, like the explosions and nobody looks back at them. Like nobody would just not look back at an explosion. So, that's a trope that's been developed, whether or not it's real. So this one seems like it's one of those ones, but I'm going to look into it a little bit because this is bugging me now. It's starting to bug me. But aside from that, a cool little escape. He just is so calm while he's being vicious as hell. He eats the guy's face a little, and he tears his face off and puts it on his own face to do his escape. Beats the crap out of the other guy, beats him to death. And he's able to outmaneuver all these cops. He kills the ambulance team that was taking him away, and he's able to get off scot-free right there. And, you got the rest of the film where they're trying to catch Buffalo Bill. And Buffalo Bill is like, this dude that wants to transform into a woman, essentially. This is sort of the gist with that. So he's not just being your typical tranny there. He's trying to, literally take women's skin off and put that onto himself. And when Hannibal did his, took his face off, I just instantly, Nicolas Cage, I want to take his face off. It instantly came to my head. This is the second time I've ever seen that in a Actually, no, I lied. I just thought of literally 3 other instances where I've seen people have their faces, somebody else's face on and take it off. So never mind, never mind. That was in Spartacus. There's a couple other things too. So never mind, never mind. This was a good type of like psychological type of thriller in a way. I mean, there's some grotesque parts to the film. Like, of course, there's like the bug, shoved down the dead people's throats, the dead bodies, the girl that it's trying to claw out, and fingernails are caught in the stone of the thing, meaning like there's people that have tried to escape before and have failed, and she's down in there, and that sucks. And like there's a lot of grossness to the film, but it wasn't the overbearingly gross. It was just subtleties here and there, and psychological stuff as well. Like imagine talking to a serial killer like Hannibal Lecter, and then also having the knowledge that he is free. That would be, and then he knows stuff about you. Like you tell him stuff about you. That is a little freaky to consider, because you think about people on the internet knowing about you, and that's one thing. But then a like psychopath, serial killer, and the fact that this guy is he's a therapist or psychiatrist. I forgot specifically. I think it was supposed to be a psychiatrist, and he's also a psychopath. So that you got this combination of this, like, come on, really? And he doesn't look like he's that menacing. He doesn't look like he's that tough, but he is a killer. Like that's why he's in this specifically designed cell. And a paper clip, a staple, he could utilize this to either injure people or attempt an escape. Like that's how dangerous this dude is. I love that. This was good. This was good. I'm not going to say too much more on it at the moment, because I feel like I've seen people's reviews here and there, and after this, I watched a couple reviews, and yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that before this video, because I don't want to just repeat points that people already point out necessarily. But I like this film, so I'll just leave it at that. And yes, Silence of the Lambs. Fuck yeah, I like it. I'll see you on the next one.